Okay, for this art technique, we are going over how to create space in an artwork. So when we talk about creating space, we are talking about taking this blank page and making it come to life, making it 3D, giving it a foreground, a middle ground, and a background. So when we talk about a foreground, a middle ground, and a background, I'm going to practice my straight lines again, and I'm going to create a frame that I'm going to work inside of today. Practice your straight lines. That wasn't really a great line, but again, examples of we can't be perfect. Just doing the best I can. And sometimes you create a little tail, and I like to do a little zigzaggy. Okay, so make your frame if you'd like to practice, or again, you can just sit back and watch. Either way, I hope you get something out of these demonstrations and you can use these tools in your final artwork, in your composition. So to create space, we create our rectangle or square frame. Now inside this frame, we are going to divide it up. So I am going to practice by giving you an example. So I'm going to draw, let's do, okay. I'm going to draw a field with a sunset and an apple tree. So to begin, I want my apple tree to be really close to me. That means that I want to be able to really reach out and pretty much touch it when I'm looking at my artwork. So I'm going to place it in the foreground of my paper. And the foreground just means the area that is closest to us. So I'm going to draw my tree trunk. And I start with sort of like an odd shaped line. I've got a tree branch there, maybe another tree branch here, and a tree branch maybe that's going out of the frame. And then I complete my tree trunk and I have some roots on the ground. And now I'm just creating some grass, maybe have a few blades. And this is my foreground because it is close to me. I could walk on this if I wanted to, just pretending. And if I wanted to make some leaves for my tree, I can create some different repeating messy shapes if I want to kind of make a big bushy tree. And I can extend more branches if I want, but I'm just going to make that for now. So here is my tree closest to me in my foreground, and I'll add a few apples. Just drawing something fast. Here is an apple tree. Cute. Apple tree in the foreground. Sweet. That is done. That is really close to us. Now I want to make something in the middle ground. So something that is probably right here. Can't really touch it yet, but if I walked there, I could get to there in just a second. So for my middle ground, I am going to create a little pond. And maybe I have a lily pad in this pond. Does that look like a lily pad? Or a flat apple? It's supposed to be sort of a lily. Okay, pretend that's a lily pad. I'll put a little water lily on top. And we can indicate that this is water, maybe by making some waves and adding some big blades of grass on the side. So here we have our middle ground. It's not quite close to us yet, but we could walk there if we wanted to. I'm kind of putting that on a hill. So we're dividing up space as we add and create lines in our rectangle. Our tree is at the foreground. This pond is in the middle ground. Now I'm going to add and create a background, something in the very vast distance. If I was jumping into my artwork, I would have to go far to reach it. And I'm going to put some hills. So I'm going to come back here, make a little plain, make a mountain, and another hill, and it's going behind my apple tree. So now I have some mountains in the background. And if I wanted to divide up those mountains further, I could just make a straight line So now we see that there's a lot of flat space between here and my pond. So we've got our tree in the foreground, we've got our pond and our plains in the middle ground, and our mountains in the background. And if you wanted to take it a step further, we could even add a sunset. And to really showcase that this is a middle ground, I could maybe even make a little house. Here's the window, here's the door. And I'm drawing it small because it's in the middle ground. So it's not super big because it's not super close to me. And maybe there's a fence. So now we can see, okay, there might be a little cabin. And maybe I add a chimney. So that is how we can create space by dividing up our paper using lines to make a foreground, a middle ground, and perhaps a background. You don't have to have all three of these incorporated into your artwork. Maybe you just want to focus on something in the foreground, or something in the background if you're doing a landscape, or something in the middle ground. You can decide. But practice what your brain can do if you have fun, and just see what you can come up with when you try to tell a story using a foreground, middle ground, and background. All right? Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching.